How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to JT's Horror Reviews. It is like 5:36 in the morning, and I haven't slept yet. I got my coffee though, so we're all good. I've mentioned in a review or two already that 80s slashers are my favorite subgenre of horror, and we are going to be talking about one of my favorite ones from the 80s, 1989's Intruder, directed by Scott Spiegel, who co-wrote Evil Dead 2 with Sam Raimi. And something I never knew is that he actually introduced Quentin Tarantino to a producer who ended up getting Reservoir Dogs made, which I thought was really cool. I never knew that. I was reading up on Spiegel a little bit and read that, and I was kind of blown away by that. Never knew that. So this film stars Elizabeth Cox, who plays Jennifer, the main heroine of the movie, and Final Girl. We have Renee Estevez, who plays Linda. And Renee Estevez, when I was growing up, when I was young, and I saw her in Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, playing Molly. Absolutely adored her growing up. She was one of my horror crushes growing up. Renee Estevez, I think, is just adorable. So we have her playing Linda. Not a big role, but she's in it, and that's good enough for me. We have Daniel Hicks, who, of course, played Jake in Evil Dead 2. So this whole film is like a reunion for Evil Dead. Like, we have Scott Spiegel, like I said, co-wrote Evil Dead 2 with Raimi. We have small roles from both Sam Raimi and Ted Raimi, which is great to see. And we even have a cameo, a small cameo from Bruce Campbell in this movie. So it's like a complete little reunion of the Evil Dead family. We have the credits that it just starts with credits, and it's just a shot of the full moon in the sky. I mean, after like 2 minutes of staring at the moon, it's all right, let's get this started already. This movie, I can see people not caring for this movie because it's kind of very slow for the first half hour, 40 minutes or so, until the kills start. This movie's all about the kills. Some of the best kills are my favorite kills in slasher movie history, pretty much, especially two of them. And if you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. But this movie should be seen just for the kills alone, and it makes it one of my favorite slashers just for the kills. So let's talk about it. We're at Walnut Lake Market in the supermarket with the night crew, who are, doing their job at night after they close up. And right before they close up, we meet Jennifer, the main character, and Linda, Renee Estevez's character, and they're bagging up the last of the customers' groceries and everything. And we get this, and they're having a little banter back and forth while they're talking about guys and stuff like that while they're ringing stuff up. And this old man whose stuff is getting bagged up is like, am I interrupting something? It's like, they're still doing their job. They're ringing you up. Who cares if they're talking? It's like, that's like if a musician was drunk or fucked up out of his mind on stage and someone complains and says, they're drunk up there. And so, they're not flying a plane, motherfucker. Like, they're still playing music. I mean, notes are coming out. It sounds good. What do you care if they're drunk or not? People just love to bitch about anything, especially today. And I don't know. I just thought that was funny. So we get this guy, Craig, who is the ex-boyfriend of Jennifer. Crazy guy, seems obviously very abusive and just a total dick. And we get like this cool shot outside after we first see Craig standing there. Jennifer's like collecting like all the carts and stuff like that. And we get this little shot of like the camera inside the cart as it gets like pushed towards Jennifer. You could tell obviously that Spiegel was definitely inspired by Sam Raimi's like directing and camera shots and stuff, because there's a few unique camera shots in this that are very reminiscent of Raimi, and that's one of them. It's a cool little shot. So we have Craig and Jennifer. Craig ends up coming into the store and they're talking, and Craig is just being a dick and saying that he's written notes to her and stuff, and that she never answers, and she said that's because it's over and I want nothing to do with you. And they end up getting in a little struggle and everything. Linda, Renee Estevez's character, just says like, hey, is there a problem? And Craig's just like, look, fuck off. It's funny how he said it. It's what a dick. And because of that, Linda like pushes like the little panic button that they have that like rings into the owner's office, the manager's office and stuff. And he's buying cigarettes, and $1.35 for a pack of cigarettes back in '89 there. That's fucking insane. Like, I used to be a smoker. I quit, I don't know, a few years ago, but I still vape, which is just as bad in my opinion. I'm trying to quit. But $1.35 for a pack of cigarettes, that's insane. Like, man, I wish I fucking grew up in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, because fucking $12, I think cigarettes are up to, something like that. My uncle smokes, and I think it's something like that, $12, $13 a pack. In Manhattan, it's like $15, $16 a pack. Unbelievable. It's just such a sick, disgusting habit and addiction. So Jennifer ends up getting in this struggle with Craig and everything, and then we have Bill played by Daniel Hicks, and he's one of the co-owners of the store and manager, and he ends up coming out. Like 5 other people, the workers, come out, and there's like 6 people beating on this guy, and they just still can't restrain him or anything. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Come on. And then later on, there's like 2 of them like get him under control and throw him out of the store. But yet 6 of them can't seem to stop this guy for some reason. It's so ridiculous. Like any 80s slasher, there's so many ridiculous things in this. We get Sam Raimi's character comes around the corner while they're trying to restrain Craig, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And Craig just throws him into a food display. Sam Raimi's so funny in this. Like, he should have had a bigger part, because he really plays a funny character, and he has some funny lines in this. They all start searching for Craig because he got away after he threw Raimi, and so now he's in the store. And don't forget, this is the night crew, so it's nighttime, doors are locked and everything. So he's basically locked in there with them, and they're all trying to find him. We see Ted Raimi, who starts talking about one of the other workers are talking to him and saying, talking about that Craig is in here, and he's like, Craig, I know Craig, I kicked his ass once. Seemed kind of unlikely looking at Craig's character and then looking at Ted's character in this movie. Who knows though? Maybe, maybe he practiced martial arts as a child or something like that. Maybe he knows Kung Fu like the professor in Pieces. Who knows? Could have happened. Could have kicked his ass. So there's a shot of Craig like creeping in like behind the glass or like a window behind Jennifer when she's calling the cops. Cool shot. Like, it's just kind of unsettling. And he ends up getting back into the building, which is weird because he disappeared in the building, and then he's outside again when the doors were locked, and then now he's back in the building. Makes no sense at all. And he says, give me my change. Really? Give you your change for $1.35 pack of cigarettes? Like, what was your change? A nickel? Like a few pennies? Come on. like, give me my change. Get the fuck out of here. So stupid. They end up throwing Craig out of the store again. They have the owner and Bill, the co-owner and manager, which he later on explains that he has 49%, share in the store, and the owner has 51. So basically, he's, fucked with that. He can't make the decisions. It's all up to the owner, basically. So they throw Craig out the store, and the owner says, like, if I see you here again and stuff, you better hope the cops get you first, because if not, then you're gonna have to deal with me. And they throw him out of the store, and they lock the door. And that's when Bill ends up telling all the workers while they're eating that they're selling the store, when they're all going to be out of jobs and everything. And he says, listen, we're selling the store, and we'll write you great recommendations for another job and everything. And obviously all the workers are upset about this, and like, fuck, one of them's even like, shit, like 3 years of seniority down the drain and stuff. I mean, that's gotta suck. I mean, especially if you like your job. I mean, it's a fucking supermarket, so I don't know how many of them were like jumping out of a cake excited of going to work every day here, but they do seem kind of upset that the store is being sold. And I guess because they all became friends and working together and stuff like that, it makes sense. And Bill ends up telling them, like, he didn't want to sell, like, he loves the store, and it was all pretty much the owner's decision and stuff. And that's when he mentions that, he has 49%, the owner has 51. He's like, he had really no choice. He didn't want the store to be sold. He loves the store. He said he started as a butcher, like Sam Raimi's character is, and worked his way up to co-owner and everything. So he definitely loves his store and doesn't want it being sold, but there's nothing he can do about it. So we cut to Ted Raimi, who's like cutting up produce and stuff, and he has headphones on, and he's listening to this song that literally is just like 6 keyboard notes, like dun, 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 over and over and over again throughout like 30 minutes of this movie. Every time we see Ted Raimi's character, just over and over and over again, the same song. I don't know why of course it's stock music and stuff. I mean, this is such a low budget film, but they couldn't have just gotten like stock music that was an actual song that like had like a little bit of singing, or just like instrumental music that was longer than a 6-note repeat over and over again. It's so ridiculous. And then we have Craig keeps calling the store and stuff and just harassing Jennifer over and over again. What a dick. This guy, I don't know why she was ever with him, which I said in another review with Ginger Snaps. Not Ginger Snaps. Some other review. I don't know. It's too early in the morning. I didn't sleep, so I don't really care which one it was. But why is she with this? Ever was with this guy? I will never know. So Craig calls again, and Linda answers. Renee Estevez answers, and just like, listen, motherfucker, if you want. And it ends up being her boyfriend. This happens so much in movies where just somebody just picks up the phone thinking it's somebody and just says some crazy shit, and it ends up being somebody else, and they're like, oh, my bad. It happens so much in movies, but it's always hilarious. Like, I'm sure everybody has done that before in their life. So I know I have. So it's definitely funny to see in movies like that. We get a weird shot. Again, like, influenced by Raimi, but why would you use like this technique for this specific shot? It's just Jennifer sweeping the floor, and the camera is from the ground and looking up. So like you just see the broom like pushing dust off of the camera on the floor. Then she crumples up like a piece of paper and throws it on the ground and then sweeps it back onto the camera. It's such a weird shot. Like, I'm like, yeah, cool shot, but like you using it for that, I don't know. That was weird. Like, definitely a weird shot. So then they're all eating like lunch or on their breaks and stuff like that. And Bill mentions that he was a firefighter and that they didn't just fight fires, but they also went got called for accidents and stuff like that. And he tells this story about this guy Parker who was eating a cheeseburger, and they get to a scene of an accident and there's this body there and they can't find the head. And they're all looking around for this person's head and securing the scene and stuff. And here comes fucking Parker walking down 9 Mile with a severed head in one hand and his cheeseburger in the other, and he's still eating it. Such a funny story. This movie, there is no good performances in this movie. I mean, Jennifer does okay, like the main chick and stuff, and Renee Estevez is not in it long at all, but since she's adorable, she gets a pass. But the guy who plays Bill is a great performance. He's got the like only good performance in this movie, like very, very good. And after he gives his speech, they're all still upset, obviously, about the store being closing down and being sold and stuff like that. So the cops finally come after Jennifer called them a while ago. And these are the stupidest cops ever. They just come in and they say, oh, we got a call. We'll be on the lookout for Craig. And the guy pulls out like his card. He's like, here's my card. Call me. And, wait a minute. This isn't my card. This is my card. And they like one of the guys even said, he's like, oh, I feel safer already and stuff. And it's just totally ridiculous and hilarious. So we get our first kill from Renee Estevez, and I don't know why it's off screen. Basically, she gets stabbed and there's no gore, there's no effects or anything. It just cuts to the next scene. But the other kills in this movie, like the gore in this movie, top notch. Like seriously great gore in this movie. And I know Greg Nicotero and I think it's Rob Kurtzman. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not sure. But Greg Nicotero, I mean, he studied and worked under Tom Savini on Day of the Dead and other movies, and of course went on to a huge successful career doing the effects on The Walking Dead. So good to see his work being done in this movie. The score in this movie is pretty simple, but it's very effective. I really like the score in this. It works, it fits very well with the film, and it has like a creepy little atmosphere to it. It's a good score. I highly enjoy it, actually. And after Linda gets stabbed, we cut to Ted Raimi cutting watermelons. Same music, looped over and over, playing still on his headphones. So ridiculous. So Bill goes outside and finds Craig, and like he's looking through like a window or something like that, and Bill just starts beating the shit out of him. And this is like the third time now that this guy's gotten his ass beaten by somebody or multiple people in this store. And Ted's music's still looping, still playing. So then we get the owner of the store's kill. Very Fulci like, with the eyeball obsession. We have him, he's working on paperwork and typing on his typewriter, and killer comes up behind him and just grabs him by the shoulders and pushes his head down onto one of those like, this was in another review I did of the same thing. It's like the needle that you put notes on. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember the name of this thing. It's just a little needle that sticks up, and you put post-it notes or notes onto it. It has a name, but it's a fucking pin or a needle. That's what I'm calling it. And ends up pushing his head and his eye right through this needle, and just blood starts falling on the light on the floor, like a lamp fell over, and because the blood's on the lamp, it's reflecting on the ceiling, and it starts turning red on the ceiling and stuff. The great lighting, great kill. It looks really cool. Not ultra realistic, obviously. You could tell it's a dummy head, but it is the 80s. But it still looks good. It's a good kill. So Jen is talking to this guy she likes, or like they both liked each other for a while, but he was dating somebody else. I don't know his name. I don't remember half the people's name in this movie. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're basically all just there to be murdered, so it doesn't matter what their names are. You can make up your names for them if you want. Play a little game, just call them whatever the hell you want. So they end up kissing and then like making out on the conveyor belt of the cashier's place and stuff, and like ridiculous. Just fucking so many crazy things in all these 80s slashers. But cut to Ted Raimi again, cutting watermelons, music still playing. This has been like a half hour now, the same song over and over. It's just so ridiculous, I have to keep mentioning it. And he's cutting watermelons, and it's actually a pretty cool kill. Like, it's pretty generic, but you see him take the knife and chop the watermelon, and the knife again and chop the watermelon like 3-4 times, and then you see the knife again, and you think he's going back down, and it's the killer, and he just chops him on the back of the head and kills him like that. Generic kill, but a nice little touch is that it breaks his headphones in half, so they slide down off of his face. That's a nice little touch. Like, that makes it a little better than it would have been just like a generic knife to the head kill. And the killer drags him away, and his music is still playing, but now it's slowed down for some reason. Like, I am a musician. I am obsessed with music. It's my biggest passion in life. And then pretty much horror after that. And I've broken many headphones in my life, and there's never been a time that the music was still playing, but like slowed down to like 10 times the pitch that it normally is. Never happened. That's ridiculous. So then we get another guy, like I said, whatever his name is, fuck it, who cares? He gets stabbed in the chest, and the knife like goes through his chest, and there's like a case of beer behind him, and the knife goes through and like pops the beer, and like beer's spraying while blood's coming out of him and stuff. Really cool kill too, actually. This whole movie, like I said, is for the kills. Like, if you love gore and kills, you have to watch this movie just for that. Like I said, it's slow in the beginning, not a lot happens. And just a lot of cheesy dialogue to sit through for a while, but the kills absolutely make this movie and elevate it to a slasher classic, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion. Like, I've seen this movie on a lot of people's top 80 slasher lists, and for good reason, because the kills are excellent in this movie. So we get this stoner dude who sounds just like a California surfer stoner, the way he talks, and he sees this guy's dead body, that the one who just got stabbed through the beer and everything like that. It's just, his body's just like sitting up, like propped up, and he thinks that he's like talking to him, thinks he's alive and stuff. So this guy ends up Bub, his name is. I actually wrote that down. See, I know some of the names, I know some of them. Bub. And he gets dragged away by the killer, and we get one of the most awesome kills with the hydraulic press. The killer drags him to the garbage disposal hydraulic press and just holds his head down like halfway into the hydraulic press and turns it on. This guy's screaming bloody murder. The way that some of the victims scream in this, like, it sounds actually really terrifying. Like, they really put their all in, like, there's like screams and stuff, and like screams for help before they are murdered. But the hydraulic press comes down, and you see it just crush this guy's face in half, and then just shot to blood squirting everywhere, and then back to the hydraulic press, and it just crushes his head completely, and blood squirts out. Amazing. Amazing gore, amazing kill. Like, I don't think I've ever seen another hydraulic press kill in a slasher movie before, or any movie for that matter. I mean, there might be one somewhere, but I've never seen it. Amazing kill. And then the hydraulic press comes back up, and like the metal part that like brings it down and stuff, there's blood that was squirted on it, so when it comes back up, the blood starts dripping back down it and stuff. Awesome shot. Like, the whole kill and the whole scene is just absolutely amazing. Such a good kill. And we get Sam Raimi in the butcher room, and he finds a hand packaged in like a meat package and stuff like that. And he's, the fuck is this? And the killer ends up picking him up and hanging him through the neck on a meat hook. It's alright. It's a decent kill. I mean, you would think for Sam Raimi's death in this movie, they would have given him a much like more inventive and better kill, but it is what it is. It's kind of creepy because like as he's hanging there, they show him hanging with the hook through his neck, and his eyes are open and like looking at the hook. So it has its touches, you know. Like, all the kills in this movie have like something unique to them, except for Estevez's early that just cuts to the next scene before we see anything. And we see this guy go into the bathroom, and he sees like legs in the stall and thinks somebody's in there, and thinking somebody's in there, he just opens the stall. There's no respect for people taking a shit, apparently, but there's nobody in there. It's just two severed feet or legs that are just like propped up in there. And he's like, oh, good job, guys, with the pig's feet. He doesn't believe it's real. And he ends up going up at the attic, and the owner is still alive. The one who got his eye poked down, pushed through the pin needle, fuck you, whatever it's actually called. Somebody leave it in the comments if they know what that thing is actually called, because now it's really annoying me that I can't think of the name of that object. And he pops out, the owner, and like scares the shit out of this guy, and he's like, help me. And the guy just like leaves and goes down, back down out of the attic. Doesn't help this guy at all. Like, the guy's just like help. And he's like, fuck this. And he just fucking leaves. It's so funny, so ridiculous. Apparently Craig's back in the store somehow. And then we get the best kill in this film, and one of my favorite kills ever in a horror movie, in a film ever. The bandsaw kill. This guy, that he just gets dragged, he gets hit with a machete, like, and then that doesn't really fade him. Like, it didn't really hit him or hurt him. The killer drops the machete, and he starts dragging this guy by his legs towards this bandsaw, and he's screaming bloody murder. Again, like, this guy's scream in this scene is so disturbing. Like, he really did a good job with that. It really adds a lot to the scene. And the killer drags him to the bandsaw, picks him up, grabs him by the neck, and holds him down on the bandsaw, and turns it on, and the guy's screaming bloody murder, and he's like, no. And as soon as the bandsaw comes in and just, his scream stops, silence completely, and it just goes through his face like this, and you see it all, and it looks amazing, and blood squirting and falling all over the parts of the bandsaw machine. And then you get another shot after it's like halfway through his face, and his head just splits open in half like a fucking lid. Amazing. Absolutely amazing gore. Absolutely amazing kill. One of my favorites ever. So fucking good. So Jen finds like Raimi's body hanging on the meat hook and stuff, and then we have like the whole ending thing of the last final girl runs around and finds the bodies of everybody. She like falls through like this disposal chute and sees the guy who got stabbed by the beer and stuff, and the top half of his body is in a garbage can, and his legs are in another garbage can right next to it, and he has a sign on him that says half off. Clever, very clever little joke that they threw in there. That's funny as hell. And we see Ted Raimi's body coming down a conveyor belt, and it looks like it's all intact, and Jennifer, sees the body and stuff, and then immediately the conveyor belt starts going the other way, and his whole body starts falling apart as it goes back up. Like his head rolls off and like his arm falls. Like really cool shot. Like a really cool after death sequence like that. She finds the bandsaw guy's head in like a freezer or something like that, which is just iconic. If for people who've seen this movie, it's on the cover of the VHS box and stuff. And she sees his head that was put back together, the two halves, but like it's put back like crooked. So like his nose is over here and his mouth's over here. So it's like crooked and stuff. Awesome. Like it looks so cool. What a cool little detail that they did there. Instead of just putting the head back together, twist it a little so it's off kilter. Like awesome stuff. So Bill comes out, the co-owner, manager, and Jen says everybody's dead and stuff. I'm going to call the cops. And he was holding her and saying it's going to be all right and stuff. I'm going to call the police and stuff, and goes to call them. And then she realizes that there's blood on her. And then she looks over at Bill calling the cops and sees blood on his hands. And that's how she realizes that Bill is the killer. And she says, why would you do this? And he's just like, I couldn't lose the store. He's like, the store is everything. It's my home away from home. So I had to kill the owner. And she's like, the night crew had nothing to do with this. And he's like, I just got a little carried away. He's like, I'm just crazy about this store. Like, just great lines and great performance from him. Like, amazing. Only great performance, like I said, in this movie. He does a great job. So he starts chasing her, and there's a cool shot of him chasing her that she's running on the ground, and he's hopping from like cashier belt to cashier belt as he's chasing her. That's a cool little touch. I like that. Instead of him just running after her on the ground, he's hopping along and stuff. Nice little shot there. And we have, she tries hitting him with a bottle, like a glass bottle, to break it over his head, and it just like bop and does nothing. And then she drops it, and then it breaks. So funny, so ridiculous. And the rest of the movie is, like I said, just the final girl being chased by the killer and just finding shit. Some random person just, who knows what time it is at this point? It's got to be like past midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. And some random guy shows up to the front doors after Jennifer tries breaking the doors with a fire extinguisher. I don't know what supermarket, like, opening automatic doors are made out of, like the glass, like what it's made out of. But she hits this thing with like a big ass fire extinguisher like 3 times, and it doesn't even make a dent. So I don't know what they're made of. Like, I always thought they were just regular glass. But if anyone knows what they're made out of, put it in the comments, because I'm actually interested in that. Because I was saying to myself, seriously, like a big ass fire extinguisher 3 times ain't making even a dent in this glass. And so this random guy that comes up there and stuff afterwards, she's screaming for help and stuff, and then he just gets stabbed from behind, and it's Bill outside. The people just come in and out of this supermarket, like with the doors locked, like they just find ways to dematerialize and then materialize outside and then be back inside. It's so ridiculous. It's just insane. And we hear someone saying, help me. And Jennifer goes and she sees the owner who got through the eye, and you see his head and his body laying there, and she goes to help him, and it ends up being Bill holding the owner's severed head in his hand. That's a great shot. Cool idea. And Bill's eating a sandwich in his hand, and while he's walking after Jennifer, and he's holding the owner's head in the other hand, and he retells part of the story from earlier. He's like, here comes Parker with a fucking severed head in one hand and a sandwich in the other. It's a great little callback. I love that. I love Bill in this movie, the character Bill. Like, he's so good. Like, he's such a great character, and he makes for such a, like, disturbing killer, because he seemed like a genuinely nice guy, like, in the beginning of the movie. And to see him just turn into this psychotic killer, very cool. Very good stuff. And Craig comes and gets beaten over the head by Bill with the severed head of the owner multiple times. Hilarious. So funny. So Jen finds Linda's body in the car outside, and again, we don't see much gore with Linda. I don't know if maybe she just Renee Estevez just didn't want to do like any gore scenes or bloody scenes or stuff. I don't know, but hers is the only death that has no gore, and even when the body's found, you don't see anything. And Bill ends up dragging her. He's under the car, drags Jennifer under the car, and ends up trying to kill her. And she has a knife that she took from the store earlier and stabs Bill in the chest. So we think he's dead. Obviously, he's not. And Craig ends up meeting back up with her, and Bill gets back up and starts trying to attack Jennifer, and while she's at a phone booth trying to call the cops again. And Bill breaks into the the phone booth and breaks the glass and tries attacking her. That's when Craig comes, and Craig starts beating Bill up and stuff. He has a machete in it for some reason, Craig, and he hits Bill with this machete like 1,000,000 times, like at least like 24 times, and he's apparently dead again, but of course he's not, and he's just laying there bloodied in the phone booth and stuff. And the cops come finally, and we get our cameo from Bruce Campbell, who plays one of the police officers. He goes and they immediately handcuff and throw Jennifer and Craig on the police car and start patting them down and stuff like that, like they're the killers. And Bill, who's still alive, like barely, like he's dying in the phone booth, and he ends up saying like, they did it, like they killed everyone in the store, and they're like, no, he did it. And then Bill just ends up dying, and then the cops arrest the two of them for the murders, and Jennifer screams, and that's the end, and it goes to credits. And I say this with so many movies: if you're in a situation like this with a crazy murderer after you, or even like with Child's Play, or like any type of supernatural thing that is murdering people, and you're the survivor, you're going to fucking prison. Like that, there's no way around it. Like, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. Like, who's going to believe that, like, if the killer's dead, that's what you got to do. You can't kill the killer in these movies. You have to, like, incapacitate them, tie the fuck out of them, like tie them up to something, gag them, fucking do whatever you gotta fucking do. Lock them in a trunk, something to keep them alive, just so they can be, interrogated and everything, and at least there's some other story that can be told against your own. Because if not, like in all these movies, the killer gets killed, and then there's just the survivor, and they're going to prison. Like, they don't show any of that after the movie ends. It just ends before all that. And then especially with supernatural movies, like, and the Child's Play movies and stuff, like in Curse of Chucky, or was it Curse of Chucky? Yeah, the one with with Nico in her house and stuff with the wheelchair and her family there. She's going to prison forever. Like, who's gonna get to the crime scene and a scene crime at the scene of the crime? It's too early for this, and see all dead bodies everywhere, and then you tell them this little doll who was possessed killed them all. Jail, prison, forever. Like, there's no way around it. Who is going to believe that? And it happens so often in horror movies that it's just hilarious every time. And it always makes me think of that anytime that something like that happens. And that's exactly what happens to the two of them in this movie. They get arrested, and we assume they are blamed for the murders, and they are going to prison for the rest of their lives. Dark ending, kind of, it really fucking sucks, especially for Jen. Craig is a fucking asshole, so, I mean, does he deserve to go to prison the rest of his life when he didn't kill anybody? No, of course not. But he's an abusive motherfucker to Jen and stuff, so he deserves a little bit of punishment in some way. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, one of my favorite slashers from the 80s, just for the kills alone. And after seeing it so many times, like the first half hour, like I said, it's a little slow, but it doesn't bother me at this point. I mean, we have Renee Estevez for eye candy, as always, so that makes it a little easier to watch. And after my first few watches of this, I actually kind of liked a lot of the characters, so I don't mind their dialogue and everything. And plus, we have Sam and Ted Raimi and stuff like that, and we have Bill and everything. So there's some memorable characters and stuff. So it's not too bad to sit through the beginning of this. But if you haven't seen this movie, definitely watch it just for the kills. Even if you're thinking in the first half hour or so, this is boring, like this sucks, just power through it just for the kills, just to see the kills, and make your opinions and stuff off of that after you see that. But all right, guys, I'm gonna have some more reviews up. I'm dropping my daughter back with her mother today, so and I'll be upstate still for the next 2 days, so I'll have a lot of free time. So I'm gonna be doing The Brood by David Cronenberg, The Devil's Rejects by Rob Zombie, since I did House of a Thousand Corpses, and a few others that I have yet to determine. I've been getting some requests for a lot of movies, so I'll pick one or two of those. Thank you for tuning into JT's Horror Reviews again, and I will see you guys shortly. Bye.